I've been asked to say a few words about leadership, and the three characteristics I would consider to be primary for a leader. This gathers from a bit of personal experience as well as a lot of study of history. Leading from the front. It's a matter of instilling trust in the people you're leading, as an officer or as a leader, whether it's domestic or business. You've got to be willing to put yourself through anything you're asking your people to do. And it's no small thing. A good example of this in history would be Stonewall Jackson. At Manassas, he got his name Stonewall because he was out right in front, standing on his horse, seated on his horse, in front of his soldiers, open to all the same fire that his soldiers were open to. And so some other general saw him and said, "There's Jackson standing like a stone wall," and that was how he got his name. He was right out in front. He was willing to take the same fire that he was asking his soldiers to do. Another good example of that would be Rommel, General Rommel in North Africa, the German general, who was always raising terrible fears amongst his officers because he was way out in front, way ahead of everybody. His claim was that you could not get the feel of the battle without being right there in front. And there's no substitute for being right there where the men are. The people on the front line, that's where the leader is. There's a second characteristic, and that is helping them to understand what you're trying to solve and what kind of progress is being made in that direction. If you keep your people informed, they're going to feel like, I can trust this guy. Another point of building trust. There's every reason for them to get behind you if they feel like you're telling them what's going on, not leading them into some dead end that they've got no way to get out of. And that is the second major point. The third is to never lose touch with who you're leading. And again, it's a matter of two-way communication back and forth. They feel like they can talk to you. They feel like you can talk to them. They feel like that you're taking at least some notice of their interests. And there's a sort of a strange story about how this, a good example of this perhaps, in the Ottoman Empire. There was a sultan who maintained his contact with his people by going out into the streets and going to the bakery and going to the butcher and going to the markets and buying things. And he was not obviously the sultan. He was disguised. And there's this particular sultan found out in this particular event that was noted in the history books that he was being cheated by the baker and cheated by the butcher. And so he ordered the baker cooked in his own oven and the butcher, I think, put on a spit and cooked over his own fire. This wasn't something I'm advertising as a characteristic of a leader, but I think the point that is made here is that the people around knew that he was paying attention to what they're going through, what their daily lives are like, and how angry you can get at somebody who cheats you. And so there, in very simple terms, I think you have three important characteristics that make a leader, if not successful, at least real to the people and somebody that they would follow with devotion.